when it comes down to actually listening to the actual live stream and the actual things that are being discussed, you have to actually talk about the conservative side and what is actually going on. But they don't want to talk about that. They want to just do anything else but discuss the issues.
It's the easier of the evils to go after. The Democrats is. It's the easier.
No,
It's the easier.
it's meme chasing, right? It's
Yeah.
you know that talking point was just that. It's just a talking point, but it's not within the context of the conversation itself. So it sounds good to people who don't know what's going on, but when you actually have to explain that on a panel, then they they can't do it because it doesn't fit within the conversation itself.
But it goes down to something that I've always said about a lot of American people. Like a lot of American people choose a political side out of spite for the opposing party. And this is the case with, once again, with the $5 conservatives in this space. They just claim to be Republicans out of spite for the Democratic Party, but actually cannot sit there and give a comprehensive reasons why they choose the Republican Party and what are they benefiting from out of being Republican. They can't. They just do it out of spite. That's all it is. Spite, spite, spite. I don't like this group, therefore I'm aligning myself with that group. But what are you benefiting from aligning yourself with that group? You know?
I'll take a loss. I don't care.
Well, not just spite, Wacky. If you think about Byron Donalds, the Florida congressman, black man, he voted against the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to notice that or actually keep up with that, Mike, because that'll make you a Democratic shield. If you know what's going on.
I mean, Tim Scott. No, we ain't gonna. But we got something to say about Raphael Warnock. He just a target for all of them right now. I mean, but what about Tim Scott? Well, you don't even know. You don't even know his stance on nothing. But
and personally with me, I don't have a personal issue with those who are true conservatives, even though I may not agree with everything that they say. It's just that I have an issue with the fake conservatives in this space. It's the fake conservatives. It's the lack of understanding what they claim they believe in. It's the lack of a lot of people in this space willing to organize and be politically active to do things that benefit their group that they claim to care about. That's what I got a personal issue with. But as far as those who are truly conservatives, I don't have a personal issue with them. I may once again, I may not agree with every single thing that a conservative believe in or claim to believe in, but I don't have a personal issue with true conservatives. But
you got a comment in the chat, MOT Michael Merriweather. Let's talk policy. Why can't the Democratic Party fix inner city schools that black children attend? I can answer that. Property tax subsidizes public schooling in inner cities. When you have structural racism that denies access to mortgages so that people can own houses so that they can pay property tax, then what you have is lack of sufficient funds to subsidize those public schools and public institutions.
Thank you.
And then what happens here is your law enforcement that eats up 2/3 of your city budget.
Yes.
They get all that's what the whole defund the police was about. Now, I don't agree with the slogan, but that's what they were talking about. So all of your money has been gobbled up into pensions for law enforcement. And when someone gets killed, that money comes out of the taxpayer's budget to pay for the victim. So that $27 million that went to Breonna Taylor, that could have went to your public institutions, but it no longer can go there. Same thing with George Floyd. How much money did they get? $27-something million or whatever it was. Whatever they got could have went to other public social institutions, such as public schools, But you can't go there now because law enforcement gobbles up the budget. You don't want to talk about that.
Even down there, Botham John, even down there in Texas, where Phil from. Hey, they had to pay, give his family some money, taken away from the education system. No, don't nobody. I mean, everybody got an idea, but you say how we're gonna put some money towards it. Nah, I can't do that now. Huh? I mean, don't you think, if we all
but
pay.
when you're actually arguing with people who have conservative slants and leans, you actually end up educating them on what they don't know, so they come in with an incorrect point of view. And these things could be easily actually caught up with if they actually understood the situation. They come in with a wrong point of view. They expect for you to correct their ignorance, and there is no really responsibility being held for being at a minimum level of responsibility or account for where you should be at in the conversation when you enter a conversation. Renaissance man to our super chat. If you can't convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. LBJ. Like, no one talks about that quote from LBJ. No one talks about that quote from LBJ. Period. But you have to understand it, dude. We're like in a different stratosphere right now, and we don't have time for keeping people up with the conversation when it comes to just trolling and memeing and not understanding how things work. Like, when you go into an actual office of somebody, they expect for you to be on point and be at where you're going to be. So that way, when you ask a question, and if you ask a question and you're off on some stupid shit, they're just gonna look at you, laugh, and just walk off. Because you should be way up on where you should be at right now. There should be no actual conversations about history, about what's going on here. And it's like, look, if you're in the middle, be in the middle. But people in the middle are not attacking the left and claiming that they're not on the right. That's just what it is. And if you are there where you're at, just sitting there, just buck dancing to the fullest, you have to provide an actual system for actual verification of where you're going to be at a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. You can't run the same campaign of acting like you're not on the left, but you want all these left-wing things from right-wing people that you're not going to vote for. Like, come on, man.
The other part here is that it's not really Democrat, run cities or states that have, poor academic turnout. It's really these conservative states that have voted on anti-woke legislation that have all of these sort of poor performance issues in academia.
Correct.
And so when you look at stand your ground, anti-woke legislation, what's the other one? Anti-abortion legislation. Look at the state's performance. They're economically performing poor, academically performing poor, and they don't actually provide a return on investment to the rest of the country. Now, you can argue that about agriculture, but then you start getting into labor. And the first thing they want to do is talk about putting up a wall. Well, if you put up a wall and keep these people out, who's going to pick your strawberries and your apples?
Exactly. Let's go on to go. Go on, man. Thanks for coming to the panel to go 11. Go ahead, man.
Hey, man. How you doing, MOT? Thanks for inviting me over, man.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Doing all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, like, we keep having these conversations. Like, okay, been here for a while. There's no reason to have these conversations in 2023 about shit that you should already known by 2016. We're having 2016 conversations in 2023 because they're desperately trying to reset the conversation back at their point of political ignorance. And it's a deliberate state of political ignorance. It isn't passive. It's very deliberate. Like, when he asked the questions, okay, what side are you on? Okay, give a plan to a solution for the side that you pick. Nothing. It's always iffy, Annie, This is what's going on your side. Answer my questions. Educate me. Even though you educate me, I'm still not going to say anything or do anything about nothing. And it's always a troll to left fucking narrative, man. It gets tiring.
Not only is it tiring, I mean you just hit it shows our ignorance of we can't come together. You know, we're not trying to accomplish anything. It's the same old tribalism. We you cause more chaos by running your mouth. If you don't know nothing, just say you don't know. You don't know how the political game works. Especially if you don't want to participate in it, really stay on the sideline.
Well, he has a super chat, and thank you for the thank you for the 4.99 super chat, Michael Merriweather. I live in Cori Bush's district. At least three black school districts in her district are unaccredited. I mean, I think he just means 3 black schools are unaccredited, not 3 black school districts.
I don't think that's possible. Like, what kind of school district? Because all school districts have to be accredited across the state. Like, we're not talking about colleges here, where colleges can be unaccredited. All schools are accredited across the state. Like, you could transfer from one school to another within the state. Like, that doesn't even make sense as an actual statement.
He's right that a K through 12 school can be uncredited. It can lose its accreditation. But to say that a whole school district has lost, 3 school districts have lost their accreditation, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Crazy.
That's
crazy.
Right?
Isn't Cori Bush like a U.S. representative? That's a local issue.
She's a congresswoman. But the thing here is it doesn't have anything to do with her, right? That's a management issue. That's
the point I'm talking about. I respect you for making that comment on the super chat, but that's a local issue that you should be fighting versus a national issue that Cori Bush represents. She can't do nothing about it.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is he expecting Cori Bush to fight for issues that he fucking cares about? Where he doesn't even support Cori Bush at all? Is that what I'm hearing?
We don't know. We don't know if he supports Cori Bush, but what we do know is these problems existed before Cori Bush got here. Cori Bush just got into office in 2020. She didn't, she wasn't here for the last 20 years. She just got here 2 years ago. And so accreditation takes at least 2 to 4 years to regain back for any K through 12 school. Now, you can lose accreditation for a variety of reasons, such as mold, asbestos, sanitation, quality of water and things like that. These sort of things would allow you to lose accreditation. We had schools here that lost accreditation because the roof had not been serviced in 30 years, and so it caved in, and so it lost accreditation, and it didn't, it got spun off into a charter school. That's pretty normal in areas that are distressed. But that's the whole purpose of the infrastructure bill was to address these issues, right? In Baltimore, you do have schools that don't have proper heating or proper air conditioning. That's because they've been starved of resources. That's not Cori Bush's fault. That's not, Elon Omar's fault because Minnesota is cold. What do you want them to do? It's really not their problem. That happens at the school board level, not at the congressional level.
Prime example of Texas got their own energy grid, but when it's cold, they can't support their customers. I reckon that's the representative fault. No, that's a Texas issue. That's a local issue, but they'll blame it on the national. Well, why? How come the infrastructure? Hey, we're trying to pass the infrastructure bill, but guess who's blocking it? Them same old Republicans.
Their alternative is what to the infrastructure bill is what I'm asking, right? Okay, you don't want to.
What was the alternative to Obamacare? Nothing.
Yeah, well, Trump ran on the idea that he was going to replace and repeal and replace Obamacare. Come 2020, nothing was done, and so they didn't have an answer, right?
That's so we just gonna go against it, and that's just because the left said something. The left want to do infrastructure bill. No, we just gonna go against it. Well, it's gonna help you. It's gonna help